I'm very nervous, you guys.
Come on, bring it up.
Okay.
We love you, Lord.
Okay, I remember being 9 years old, and my older siblings gave me a joint and put it in my mouth, and they thought it was funny. At that point, I started doing drugs. Later, when I was 12, my brother gave me my first hit of LSD. I began doing other drugs. I decided to move out of my house when I was 14 and begin a life in, or I began, sorry you guys, and began a life of babysitting. A man thought I was older. I then met a boy named Brian, who was later on my husband at 15. When I was 19, I married him. It was a very big mistake. We ended up getting into some heavy drugs like crack, meth, cocaine, and pot. I got pregnant when I was 21 and had my first daughter. Then I got pregnant and had some abortions in between, had 3 other children. Later, I ended up divorcing my husband at the age of 38 and moved in with my parents for a little while. During this time, I went back and forth to my ex-husband. One of those times, I was driving in Washington and got pulled over. I ended up in prison for 14 months. When I got out of prison, I went and lived with my parents. I went back to stay with my parents and took care of them. And while working at Dairy Queen, I had to deal with my mother, cleaning up after them and stuff like that. My dad had a stroke. He couldn't do anything for himself because he was bedridden. And my mother would be on my case all the time. If I didn't like it there, I could leave, she say. So I moved out that weekend. I found a job in Washington for about 8 months and then found out my parents needed me. I moved back and took care of them again until one day my dad passed away and my older sister ended up changing the locks to their condo and I was homeless. I was clean for about 7 years, and then I ran into the wrong people, ended up doing drugs. After about a year, I called around for a shelter, and they gave me Simonka. I was in Portland at the time. I found a way down here to Simonka Place and was happy to find a place of safety. And when I thought everything was going good, here came Brian back into my life. I focused on what he was doing instead of working on myself. I left and came back a few times and realized that I really wanted to change my life. I was living in the field down the street. I remember hearing a little voice saying to me, Simonka, Simonka. And I didn't think they would let me back, but to my surprise, they did. I came back in 2023 and everything changed. I really want to thank Kathy and Jerry for having compassion and love to allow me to come back. During this time, I have been surrounded by support of Julie, the kitchen manager, who has really been there for me. I want to thank Ann for the Learning Center I want to thank Ann from the Learning Center because she was worked hard with me with my disability I have. She had been patient and kind to me, finding tutors to help me. I also want to express my gratitude to my mentor, Betsy. She has accepted me for who I am. She has walked with me in the hard times. She taught me to love myself. She has been a great mentor, and I thank God for those wonderful people in my life. I couldn't have done it without their support and God's change.